Hey guys, it's Danny. Today we're gonna make an epic update on the 10 Oncidiums that we repotted in one video. Now, if you're newer to my channel and you missed that video, I will of course link you down below. I do want to make a sort of video series with these guys. Since I managed to cram in 10 orchids in one video, I think it's very interesting to observe their evolution throughout 1 year, let's say. So I do want to make very regular updates on these guys and take a look at each and every one of them, see how they're doing, how they're developing, issues that might come up. And I will remind you that all of these orchids had some issues. They weren't healthy orchids, they had major root issues. Some of them were a little better than others, but I will put up screenshots for you guys in this video as well, just so you can make a comparison. So that said, I will actually start in the order in which I repotted them. So the first orchid we repotted was the Aliceara Peggy Ruth Carpenter Gem. This is a beautiful orchid, and along the years I did try to have it multiple times. First, I was a noob and I didn't really take care of it properly. Then the second time I purchased this orchid, I think a half fusarium, and it never actually did anything. And this is the third time that I purchased it. It's a wonderful, wonderful orchid. I'll try to link you to a video down below in which you'll see this orchid in bloom so you see what I mean. And yeah, let's just take a look at it today. Looking good, right? This is the new growth. It is mature and it is much, much tinier than the older growth. That is to be expected with setback orchids. When we don't have enough roots, obviously the orchid doesn't have enough energy, but it had enough energy to mature this growth and moreover to create a tiny, tiny flower spike, which I will cut. I will not keep this flower spike. It will not look beautiful. I think it will produce a maximum of 1 flower, and really I just want the orchid to be healthy and happy and have a great root system, and afterwards see it in bloom. You know, I can wait. So I'll cut it pretty fast. But the most important thing, let's see the roots. Oh, look at that. P.S. I didn't actually check these orchids prior to filming this video. I took a look and I thought, oh, maybe it's time to do an update. But I'm not sure what I will find in the pots, so the surprise is real. Okay, it's not a whole lot of roots, but it's something. And on the top, yeah, on the top there are roots. Look at that. I don't want to disturb it too much, but I think we can clearly see roots going inside the medium. So I think the Aliceara is very advanced in its way to recovery. I'm very, very happy with this new growth. Again, we'll cut the flower spike. We can wait for the flowers, but roots, new growth, that is great news. The fact that it's tinier is to be expected. I'm not upset with that. From now on though, the new growths should be bigger and bigger. So 1 down, 9 more to go. Hopefully everybody will be okay. As I was saying, it's going to be a surprise for me too. Alrighty, next up an orchid which I think is a variety of the Tahoma Glacier. I really don't have an ID for it. I'm just calling it a Tahoma Glacier variety because it looks that way. So this orchid was really unstable when I repotted it, and what I did was just to put a bamboo skewer here, but I didn't tie the orchid to it. I just wanted the bamboo skewer to maintain the orchid in place, and that's it. These orchids were not moved from their places. I don't water at the sink or anything of the sort, so no reason to tie it. But I think we don't need it now. Let's just test it. Oh, it's a lot better. Much, much better. We don't need the stake. Yay, so this must mean we have roots. So at a first glance, the orchid looks pretty good. We have a new growth here, one here. The pseudobulbs are not wrinkly anymore. And the grand reveal, oh wow, ta-da! It actually has a good root system. I'm really happy to see this because for quite a while, this one did not look so good. There were others who moved faster than her. So I was a little bit afraid, especially because I didn't see this variety all that often in stores. Oh, wow. Oh, we're so healthy now. I'm so pleased with what I'm seeing. So this one is doing great as well. We can also see new roots here at the top from the new growths. But definitely we had branching roots inside the pot with this one. So good. Alrighty, so this one seems to be all right as well. I will put it back in its place and we'll move on to the third orchid. Next up, this is an orchid that in my initial haul video I said I thought it was a winter wonderland, but I wasn't sure. There's another one which looks like it, which I was considering, and then one of you guys pretty much confirmed my second guess. It's an Aliceara Snowblind, most probably. All of these orchids are ID'd by myself, they're not official IDs, but don't worry, I'm not gonna enter them in contests or anything. I just need a tag to know what everyone is. Anyway, back to the story. So this one actually doesn't have a decorative container. With some of these orchids, I didn't have containers at the time, and then the whole problem started, so I just couldn't focus on it. Anyway, long story short, some of these orchids don't have decorative containers, so they have a little bit of algae on the side of the pot. Therefore, we cannot really see the roots all that vivid, but there are there. So with this one, let me get you in closer, I can see this is a root tip growing here. And also I see a few more roots growing here. Look at that one. So yeah, we do have roots with this one as well. They're just not as showy. This was an orchid which wasn't in the roughest shape, I have to say, and it was a robust orchid. It looked like that. And behold, she's doing pretty great now. She's growing a new growth. Pseudobulbs are pretty plump, although they still have a few wrinkles. Anyway, it looks pretty great. With this one, I really didn't have much doubt that it will not make it. You never know though, but I don't think she has any issues that are invisible at the moment. I think she's doing great considering, so I cannot wait for the next flowers because this is a big flowered orchid. So yeah, now I just need a decorative container I need to buy after the vacation, and the way that I will get rid of the algae is simply by shading them and then doing very frequent flushes to flush all of the debris out. And it's pretty easy actually. If you cut the light source, the algae will slowly and surely go away as well. But I need to do frequent flushes just so I remove the extra bio load that they will create. Alrighty, next up we have the Melissa Briann Dark, and this one I think it's clear to see does not look as good as the others. We do have new growth here and new growth here, but they've kind of just started while the others are almost halfway through or even mature. So this one took longer to recover, and considering the experience that I have with the Melissa Briann generally, it kind of makes sense. This orchid is not a very vigorous hybrid in my experience, and not only, I did have some friends back in the day who had the normal Melissa Briann, not the dark version, and it wasn't very willing to just grow. It's not impossible to grow it obviously, but it's not as hardy, and as a result, yeah. So I don't see any roots inside the pot, and also at the top, I really don't think I have any because see, the orchid is very wobbly. If I have anything, it's very tiny and I just don't want to disturb it. We do have new growth though, and with new growth, new roots will be produced, so we're still okay with this one, but I think you can see the major difference. So this one, I just need to be a little bit more patient and keep my fingers crossed that soon we'll have roots. Until we have roots, the orchid is just going to be dehydrated. Also, autumn is coming, so that should help it because I suspect this hybrid is closer to the Odontoglossum than the other ones. The shape, the coloration of the pseudobulbs, Odontoglossum traits. So yeah, it kind of makes sense. But we'll see what happens in the 6 months update. Next up here we have the other Melissa Briann. This is the Shady Lady, and I think in that video I thought the dark variety was looking better, but obviously this one did better. Sometimes appearances can be deceiving. So there we have it. This one definitely looks better. Yes, we do have some wrinkles here, but the pseudobulb is very plump. The new growths are growing. They're looking quite okay. And inside the pot, I'm not sure. These orchids are lazier when it comes to roots, so maybe I shouldn't expect much. No, it's not a whole lot in the pot, but definitely we do have roots. We can see them at the top going inside the medium, so I'm not worried. This orchid actually looks great. It plumped back up, so I have no doubt she will be okay, which again is great because I don't have the greatest of experiences with this particular hybrid. I had it twice, once a lot of years ago, and it just withered off pretty much. Second, about 2 years ago, and again it just withered off without telling me much of why it's actually withering off. This one, on the other hand, is the first one which appears quite vigorous. And yes, we cannot compare it to the others, but in terms of Melissa Briann, she's quite vigorous. You can see the pseudobulbs are really different from all of the other orchids. And again, in my book, these ones are closer to the former Odontoglossums, which are a little bit more finicky, particularly in warm seasons. But it's not like a Masdevallia to completely just give up on everything. So this one looks great. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm surprised that it's doing better than the dark. For whatever reason, in my mind, the dark was looking better. But hey, there we have it. So hopefully in a few months, the dark will look as good as this one. Next up, here's the yellow Odontioda or Vuylstekeara. Not sure how I named it in that video. I didn't yet have an idea in that video, but somebody mentioned Odontioda Quedlinburg and I googled it. Looks very similar. That's what I wrote on the tag. Not entirely sure though. None of these tags are entirely sure, obviously. But then again, considering how many mislabeled orchids I had from nurseries, my guesses are as good as theirs. It shouldn't be that way, but that's the world we live in today. Anyway, I'm just gonna call her Quedlinburg because it just looks that way, but it might not be. So if you remember in that video, this orchid had a tiny growth. Well, look at it today. The new growth is as tall as the older one, so that's great. The pseudobulb is almost mature. I can see it peeking through the foliage, and maybe this autumn we're gonna have a flower spike as well. So the orchid has done absolutely fantastic. This orchid didn't look all that bad, if I remember correctly. So let's see what's in the pot. Oh, that was a piece of bark. Alrighty, so we do have our roots trying to get out of the pot here, but we don't have an abundance of roots actually. So probably the roots will be created after the new growth matures. Some orchids just do that. Oh yeah, I don't have new roots growing here. It's just what the orchid came with and maybe a few branches, as we can see here. Oh, I see another one here, another root tip here. So not a whole lot. The new roots will probably come when this orchid matures the pseudobulb. That's the funny thing with orchids. Not only cattleyas have different times at which they produce new roots, sometimes even the Oncidium intergenerics, particularly these very complex ones, you have all sorts of genes mixed in there, so it's hard to tell when new roots will be produced. This one apparently doesn't produce roots as the new growth grows. Anyway, it looks good. We were lucky with this one that we started out pretty well. Next up, we have one of the worst looking orchids actually. This is the Aliceara Torero. When I repotted it after cleanup, after everything, there was no root. Zero, not even half a root, nothing. So if you watch that video, you'll see it's just the rhizome, few pseudobulbs, and that's it. Well, look at her today. Yes, the new growth is pretty unruly. It is within its nature. These types of orchids do seem to lean a lot, but in the future I'll try to shape it better. Right now, shaping was not my priority. But anyway, look at her today. We have new roots, obviously, at the top, but surprise, surprise, inside the pot, we do have roots as well. So considering that this orchid, oh, look at that. So considering this orchid started out with zero roots and pretty dehydrated pseudobulbs, might I add, oh, this is going great. So it's a very vigorous hybrid, I would say, and yes, the setback will be quite steep considering the damage, but I think she's pulling through so well. Just look at that. So from now on, I should start working a little bit on shaping the orchid, and by shaping, I will do a mixture of things. One, I will try to put the source of light, what is that language? The window here, so that the new growths will start to grow towards the light. That's one. Second, I will try to put a ring support, or as they grow, the new growths, I'll try to train them upwards. It's kind of tricky with the Oncidiums because they're not as flexible as a Cattleya, let's say, but it's not impossible, so I'll see what to do about it. For now, I'm just happy that it has roots. And from now on, you know, I can play around with the shape, but oh boy, I'm so happy with the evolution of this one. Next up, Aliceara Eurostar, and wow, I have actually experience with this orchid. A long time ago I had it. I think I lost it recently, like in the Fusarium outbreak. I'm not entirely sure, but for the duration in which I had it, it was a wonderful hybrid. It was very vigorous. I even did my tutorial on Bilaras with it. Check it down below. Absolutely fantastic hybrid. One of those that just grows. It's very vigorous. Not the most appealing, I guess, flower-wise, but definitely vigorous. So when I saw it for sale, I really needed to have it, and I was sure that no matter the state of the orchid, I will recover it. And well, it is recovering, but I was not expecting it to look like this. It does not look good. Well, we do have roots. We can see here they're growing. Inside the pot, there's nothing, which is odd, again, because I was expecting it to just burst with growth. This is what my older one did. It did grow a new growth here. Well, if you remember, when I purchased it, one of the new growths was broken, but it was just a leaf. So this is the broken new growth. It's doing great. The other new growth, look at this. It withered off, which is weird, but yeah, these things happen. The older pseudobulbs, they will be okay. They just started to plump back up, so the root system started to absorb water. But the leaves, yeah, they're not looking all that great. Overall, it's just not looking like I was expecting it to look like. With these 10 Oncidiums, I just had super good surprises with some that I was not expecting, and super bad surprises with some that I had in the past and they were like weeds. This one, not so much. So there is a difference between individuals, clearly. So yeah, I think she will be okay. I will care for it, obviously, but you know, I might consider getting another double for this one because this is not how I know this hybrid. But then again, you know, I'll see how it does. Maybe just needed some time. Maybe the one that I had in the past, which by the way was a save as well. It was a discount, I think, rootless orchid that I managed to save and grow, and she was just like a weed. So it's not about the fact that she was sick, because my other one was sick as well, but there we have it. Individuals are just not identical. I don't think I'm gonna lose it, but I don't think I'm gonna have a super easy time with it either. Next up, we have the Odontioda Stirbic Purple. In my opinion, this is very similar to the Melissa Briann in the sense that it's very close to the Odontoglossum side of things. You can see this from the pseudobulbs, even though they're kind of shriveled. They have this roundish shape to them. They have the darker pigmentation, which is normal for Odontoglossums, and the flower shape is kind of similar. And well, yeah, it kind of performs just like the Melissa Briann. It's not bad, but it's not outperforming either. We have a new growth here, which is developing nicely. Roots, I don't see any in the pot. Oh, I do have roots here with the new growth. There we have them. So I shall not bother this orchid much. So to be honest, I'm not super surprised with this orchid. I had Stirbics before. They didn't do extremely well for me, but not very, very bad either. They're somewhere in the middle, so yeah, I think this one just needs a little bit more patience, and autumn should help a little bit. But she's still here, not looking the greatest, but once it's established, it should pretty much start to grow a lot more vigorous than now. But yeah, inside the pot, there's really nothing. I really do need to find a decorative container though. I think there's only one more to go. And finally, the most surprising of all of them. I specifically repotted this one last because I considered it the most difficult case. This is the Odontioda Miltonedium. I'm not entirely sure because I still don't have a tag for it. It's the Pluto's drummer. I know what it is, I just need to make a tag. And when we repotted it, this one had a rotting pseudobulb, which we needed to remove, and I was only left with a back bulb. That's all the orchid had, and a few roots. I don't think it had too many roots anyway. So I left it the last because this one was question mark. I did not know if this one will make it. Well, do you want to see something fun? I mean, what in the world? How does this make sense? I have all of the others which started out with roots, and this one, which started off with one pseudobulb, not so many roots, is the most advanced one. Well, it all comes down to the quality of the hybrid, really. I cannot pinpoint it to anything else because all of these orchids sat in the same place, received the same water and fertilizer, same treatment, same temperature. Other than that, it's just their work. So we do have a new growth, which was, I believe it wasn't there when I repotted it. It's almost mature now. And we also have a ton of roots. So no worries with this orchid, she's doing absolutely fantastic. You can never actually know what to expect unless you have experience with that particular hybrid, and even then, specific individuals might just act differently because they have a different history. They're different persons, quotation marks, right? So there we have it, surprise, surprise. this one is actually doing the greatest out of all of them. You have more videos linked down below in the description, and we'll see these orchids again in 2 months. We're gonna make the 6-month anniversary update, I think. So with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the series. If you did, let me know if you want me to make this type of series for other groups of orchids as well, because it would be fun. I'm enjoying the Oncidium series. So you know the drill, like or dislike this video below, subscribe to my channel for regular orchid videos, tutorials, Q&As, and other fun orchid subjects. And if you wish to support the channel, do consider visiting the merch store down below. And with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!